computer. And let's see here. Okay, we're gonna find our session here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, and I will share and share alike right there. Okay, 478 is I encourage you, and you don't have to close your eyes. I mean, I usually close my eyes, but if you want to maybe keep your eyelids kind of low, looking down, it's up to you. You want to keep your eyes open. It really doesn't matter. Um, all right, let's get started here. Marks, get set, go. Oh, there's a countdown. All right, thank you guys. That's a great way to fall asleep at night or during the day if you're taking a nap. Eventually, you can fall asleep in 1 minute or less. Um, okay, welcome, Izzy. Good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Great, good to hear. Um, okay, we're going to jump right in here, and you're probably going to see a little bit more reliance upon. It's not that you're doing a lot of homework, but that there's certain things that we just won't have time for in the sessions because I really value that time that you have to be able to write. I do want to encourage you today to be sure that you have some sort of um, either notebook or something electronic to capture ideas. And so, yeah, take some time to find that if you want. And remember, what we want to do is we want to have a running record of our thoughts over a period of time. A lot of people call this journaling. And I really believe that it is one of the major keys to being able to write um, with relatively more ease. And it's to have ideas in your mind that you've captured. And even the practice of informal writing, just jotting things down without really, it's called high stakes writing. High stakes writing is that kind of writing that you have in school that counts towards your grade or counts towards some sort of standardized test. But the rest of the writing is called informal writing. And one of the keys also is the more informal writing you do, the better it will be for your informal writing because you'll develop your voice without um, the burden of having to make be overly concerned with how you're writing. Okay. That's later. All right. Remember that inform and explain. In that type of writing, the writer states a main point and purpose and tries to present the information in a surprising way. Now, you may have done this in your school where your teacher has you write the steps to how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Raise your hand if you've ever done that lesson. Yeah, that's cool, but um, we need to grow beyond that, don't we? And it's a little more interesting if we can talk about some ways to do that that are different. And today will be you'll do this a couple different ways. Okay. Um, right. Objectives. Students will be able to review and share the idea journal entries, focusing on positive writing takeaways for potential use in future assignments. You won't necessarily share what you wrote in your journal today, but you may refer back to that journal as you really focus on that formal writing assignment that you probably looked at for homework and we'll look at briefly today. Reflect on word choices by researching. Now, skip the second bullet point. We're going to skip that, but that is built into the writing assignment choice board. So we'll get to that later. Skip the third bullet point. Generate new ideas from writing through discussions of key concepts such as appearances and judgment from mini lessons. Prepare for upcoming writing assignments by organizing ideas in the journals for draft selections. Really, that last bullet point, what we're focusing on today is two different miniature writing featurettes. One of them is judging a book by its cover, and that we should not judge a book by its cover. And on the flip side, that we can judge a book by its cover, meaning people, like what they look like, what they sound like. It could even be what their skin color is, their hair, their eye shape, whether or not they have a mustache, glasses, jewelry, all those sorts of things. When should we judge a person? When should we not? So by way of review, what we did last week, or sorry, Monday, is we focused on brainstorming ideas using the Dear Newly Minted Sarcastic Mentor text. And you remember that it was written to a basketball player, how to lose money. And then I wrote one to future lottery winners, how to lose it all, how to return to normal, right? I'm sorry you just won the lottery. We'll try to fix that as soon as possible. We'll help you with losing money so your life can return back to normal. Now notice I could have said that in my draft, right? Notice how after just Monday to today, in 2 days, I now have a new introduction, right? So you're going to have a chance in a few minutes, I think we should take the time to kind of take a peek at what you wrote last time and kind of take maybe like a sentence or a paragraph or one of the numbers, because it was a numbered list, and share that with the group and kind of just explain the story of that particular thing that you wrote, like the background, kind of like what I did right now, because I think that would be a great introduction. In my particular piece, if I said, sorry, you just won the lottery, it's almost like they just got a disease. Like, sorry, you got COVID. We're going to return you back to normal. Don't worry. We'll send you to a specialist who will extract the money. We'll send you to another specialist who will make sure that you waste it on relatives that don't belong to you, right? That sort of thing. So I could even take what I wrote in the back of my mind. I can be juxtaposing that with COVID-19. Like, how, what does a brochure look like? What does a website sound like when you just got COVID, right? Sorry about that. Here are your precautions. These are the next steps. Okay, you get the idea. This helped us flip. So when you wrote that list or that feature, that I guess it's a little article essay, if you will, an essay, it helped because well, what you did for homework was to turn that negative list into a positive list, right? So if it was like, welcome writer, what you should do is I forgot what your example was, but don't hire an editor, right? But so on the flip side, you're just going to make a brief list that says, dear writer, bullet point, hire an editor. Okay, or number one, sorry, hire an editor, period, nothing more. Then go to number two and then turn that into a positive. We don't want to write like the whole essay, if you will. Does that make sense? So I'm going to have you guys just quickly go through that as soon as we're done with this slide here. Okay, remember your idea journal. Okay, I think I've said enough about the idea journal with other things. So let's skip that second part there. All right, I'll move you guys up here. Homework sharing. If you finished your sarcastic piece, share a part you liked. We can use those ideas in the main writing assignment. So I'd like you to take a look at what you wrote. And yes, you're going to do a couple things with it. You're going to share something with it, from it with us, with the group. And then once you're done sharing, you're going to just take everything you wrote and underneath it, put, you know, how would we call it? Dear newly minted writer, here's some things to help you to become a good writer. And then just list those things out. Okay. I will do the same thing. So let's take a quick minute. And no, that's so wrong. Okay, there we go. Classroom. Change the account. Right method. Classwork. Monday session. Workspace right there. Okay. I think that and I'll go ahead and share. First of all, have you guys had enough time to select something? So you just want to pick one of these, like pick number one, or pick your introduction, or pick number three. You can pretty much jump around. Have you guys had enough time? Thumbs up. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So has everybody had a chance to select something from what they wrote on Monday? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Archie, are we okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to share here, um, I think number 6 is my favorite, but I didn't have a lot of time to do it. So it says avoid financial advisors. They will only teach you to grow your money. The reason why I like that one the most is because I've always told myself that if I did win the lottery, I would actually hire my dad. My dad is actually, he's excellent with finances. My brother has his own business. My dad does all the finances. So that would be the first thing I would do. And so I like this piece of advice. I don't quite like the way it was written because it was too short. If I had to do it over again, I would probably add more detail, like beware of financial advisors. So in the back of my mind, what I'm thinking is, do you know what satire is, by the way? Satire, in irony. So I'm going to use, I'm saying something and I'm not really meaning it. I'm saying like, um, okay, so beware of financial advisors. They are out to make you lose money. Now, everybody knows that they are not, unless you're a crooked financial advisor. So I'm going to add, they are out to make you lose money. That is called satire. That's what I'm doing here. Um, oh, I'm sorry. This is wrong. They're only they're only out for your benefit. They will make you grow your money. Okay. I like that better now. It seems like more like juicy, if you will. And the other part I would add here is when I was talking to you, I would change this. I would say, I wouldn't say congratulations. I would say my condolences on winning. I misspelled winning, but I don't care. Lottery. I know you must be panicked. Okay, there's some sarcasm there. But we will help you get back to normal. Now, why I like this better? Because it sets the tone for the entire piece, right? The whole thing is about returning back to normal, but normal, and if you, it's actually normal is when you didn't win the lottery, when you were struggling with your finances, right? Um, so that's almost like my thesis statement right there. So I'm going to separate that out. And I'm going to say, just like, and then I'm thinking back in my mind, like I'm writing this like I'm a medical practitioner speaking to a patient. Follow the steps below and call us. What do you think I'm going to say next? Call us. Do they still say this? Call us in the morning. Like when I was your age, would always say, like the doctor say, right, take 2 aspirins, call me in the morning. We would make fun of doctors that way because they oversimplified things. It's like, well, no, wait a minute, doctor. I'm really panicked here. I need some help, right? Okay, enough about my sharing. So, who would like to share a little bit about what you wrote?
Okay, so the one I'm gonna choose is so dear newly minted car owner, do not get a driver's license. So I said a driver's license will take a lot of time and effort, and it's if you fail, like you have to do it all over again, and you have to take a whole driver's ed course. It's too long and it's too boring and it's not really
Uh,
useful. And what's the what's even the chance that a police pulls you over to check your driver's license? It's practically slim to none. What's the point in wasting all this time to probably never prove it? You should just go get your car and go out and drive.
yeah, excellent. I like that. Now you're coming at it from reality, right? Because that's really the case. Um, what I want you to consider doing um, is how can you go a step further? How can you say something like, it's almost like assuming that the person you're writing to wants to do the bad thing, wants to do the wrong thing. So you would say something like, do not get a driver's license because it shows that you know how to drive because you tested, right? And the last thing you want to do is actually know how to drive. See
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So I want you to go, I want you to flip the entire, your whole moral compass, right? Normally we tell people advice that helps them. We want to actually hurt them. But yeah, okay, very good. And I like the the range of things that you wrote. Always commit, hit and run. That's exactly what I'm talking about right there. If you ever hit another car, leave. Yeah, perfect, perfect right there. Okay, anything else, Adi? You want to
Mhm.
say about what you shared? You don't
Uh,
have to, by the way, but I'm just making sure I'm not cutting you off.
oh no.
Okay, Izzy, do you want me to come back to you? You're
I'm
muted.
sorry. I'm ready. You don't have to come back to me. You, I'll go right now. The one I decided to go with was increasing the price of everything, and I said when you increase the price of everything, food, water, housing, taxes, and car notes, what will happen is that it will make everything only available to the rich, or some like to call it the upper class, and it will make the lower class and middle class have to really work for everything they get.
And why is this good for this kind of like
Uh,
twisted person, this new president? So make it even worse. So why would that be good that the middle class has to really work?
I honestly don't even know.
Okay. No, no, I think you've done a good job here. I'm just kind of playing with what you wrote, if I may, because you set it up
Yeah, that's fine.
nicely. I like the way you set it up because what you did is you made it like now I can make it even sound worse and even worse and worse. It makes the middle class and lower class have to really work for everything they get because that is not what they have been doing for the longest. This will guarantee, and actually you can erase this because this is, you don't really have to take my suggestions. I'm just kind of like playing here. This will guarantee that they don't figure things out like why you are such a bad president. They will be too busy um, trying to survive. Okay. Yeah, feel free to erase that. Like I said, this is just one writer to another. Okay, very good. Anything else you'd like us to say about this? Did it feel like, how did it feel being able to express something so negative? Like, did it feel kind of fun? It felt fun for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, it does feel fun for me as well. I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually, if we're honest. Um, all right, Archie.
Okay, so the point decided to choose was the don't hire an editor because, as we most likely already know, editors are really the fundamental point of any type of publication or whatever you want to call it. So
Kind of like the gatekeeper, huh?
yeah.
The people that help us really know if it's objectively not necessarily good, but marketable,
Hmm.
acceptable. Um, could you now say that here in the negative way? Like you just expanded upon this idea in a lovely way. And can you add that into number two somehow? And you could don't feel like it has to sound like really sarcastic necessarily, but you might throw that in. You might say, but do you do you feel comfortable doing that now? Do you feel comfortable with me kind of giving you an example of that?
Well, I mean, it would help because, like,
Let's do
if
it like this. Yeah. Why don't you do it and I'll do it simultaneously? But I'm going to
okay,
do it on paper. That way you won't see what I'm doing until the end. All right.
yeah.
All right. So I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I know this is kind of this is the real world of writing. So, all right, let's go. And if you guys want to add anything to what you wrote, I want you to do this while she's doing. Oh, okay. So you're done. What you guys can do is add a couple more numbers, or actually, instead of doing that, either add an idea to this or just start to put things in the positive light. So, Adi, for you, don't get a license becomes get a license, and just leave it at that. Don't add any more writing to that. Go to the next one. Okay. Izzy, you can start on that. And then Archie, just take your time. Just take your time. And now, if you want to give it a new introduction, guys, maybe put a sentence that says, "Dear newly minted car driver or driver, here's some positive things to do," right? And then just jump right in. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to read. I think this was the original thing you wrote. Don't hire an editor. Now we all know how editors can be very picky and choosy. So a good way not to deal with that is to either not hire them or in dire situations, ignore them at all costs. Okay. And then I'm going to put here, editors are the gatekeepers of writing that people want to read and will pay for. Remember, you are a writer and not passing your writing through. No. Working with an editor will only improve your writing. And improvement must be avoided at all costs. And really, the reason why I'm putting this down, improvement must be avoided at all costs, and really to everybody here, the reason why we're doing this kind of ironic or satirical advice, sarcastic advice, is because the brain um, wants to think that way. But I'm actually going back into the part of my brain that says, wait a minute, how can we be responsible as a writer and just do the opposite of that? Um, in real life, when you do this kind of inverted thinking, I do suggest that if you do want to become a writer, you actually think of how to not become a good writer, because you'll think of more ideas than positive things. For some reason, when you try to sit down and think of how can I become a better writer, for some reason the brain is not as ready, because the brain is a survival mechanism. So it's saying like, don't do this, don't do that, sort of thing. Okay, how are you guys doing there? Do you need more time to generate your positives?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And remember, you're not elaborating. All you're doing is just laying it down. So instead of, yeah, I'm going to give us like 30 more seconds of this, but that's okay. As long as you do a couple of them, you're going to be okay. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. And then The Oh, I see what you're doing, Adi. I love it. I'm sure it feels great completing your list in the satirical fashion. Okay, 15 more seconds. Okay, very good. 5 seconds. And what we're going to do is we're going to move into, yeah, feel free to leave something undone because that's the thing about writing is uh, you don't want to polish things up. You want to come back to things. And that's how your ideas kind of grow, settle. All right. So we've worked through that. And I'm going to jump into this. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to express to you. I want you to think. I'm going to. Here's the overview here. You're going to think of a time in which you judged a book by its cover. You looked at someone the way they were dressed, maybe the way they were speaking, and you thought, well, that person's not very this, not very that. And you found out later that you misjudged them, that they were actually, it's like I have a boss who's a multimillionaire. He's got holes in his shirt and he looks like he doesn't ever shower and doesn't shave. So it's easy to misjudge him. Um, so I'm going to tell you about a couple things here. So there is a musician by the name of Brian Wilson, and when I first saw his picture, because I know he writes music for the Beach Boys, which is a famous band of the 1960s and 70s, I thought that he was very kind of stern and almost like intimidating in a way, because the picture was very much like kind of like a deep, thoughtful person. Like he takes everything seriously. Well, what I found out was that Brian Wilson is so playful and so childish that I wish I could show you a video clip. Maybe I'll put that in Google Classroom because it's kind of funny. He's got the mentality of like a 12-year-old. He's actually very he writes funny songs and he cracks jokes. And like he was on stage one time on this video and he's just spinning around and then everybody around him is laughing during this band rehearsal. And then people were laughing in the concert. He says, "You making fun of us? Are you making fun of us? Don't you think this rocks? Don't you think this rocks? Don't you think this rocks?" So he's really kind of a silly guy. And when he met John Lennon, he actually he said, "Can you introduce me to John Lennon? Because he's the famous Beatle." Well, the person introduced him, and then 10 minutes later, he says, "Can you introduce me to John Lennon?" He did this like 10 times in a row. So he's almost like a mental case, but for some reason, he's written the most beautiful music in the world. And so I misjudged him basically. I had no idea. And sometimes people have misjudged me because I'm very quiet in my workplace. And when they heard me talk and when we went to a celebration or a birthday party at work, and I was just the loudest person, I was cracking jokes and I was being funny. And people said, I had no idea that you were this fun. So what that tells me is what they first saw me as was this kind of like bookworm, this kind of guy with his shirt buttoned up too tightly. It's like loosen up, man. Live a little bit, right? But that's just the way I like to dress, right? So I've got this other side. Um, what I want you to think about is and write about actually, or actually share first. Share about a person that you misjudged. Now it could be that you met somebody and you thought that they were very nice and very cordial, but they turned out to be a mean person. Like the way that they spoke to people was very harsh, right? And they weren't a kind person to be around after all, right? They're kind of selfish, perhaps. Have you all met people like that? that maybe it's a musician and they're just super arrogant, right? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to write down, if you can, 2 to 3 situations in which you misjudge somebody. I talked about Brian Wilson, a famous musician, my present boss. I thought that he was kind of like a person hard to get along with because he's not very warm and friendly. But when you talk with him in the office, he'll talk with you forever, and he'll back you up, and he'll look out for you. He cares about you, and so I misjudged him. People misjudged me as well. So can you come up with 2 or 3 in the next minute? So I'm going to give you just 1 minute. And we did this in the early tutoring. It's called creative confines. So when you're squeezed for time, you'll be amazed at what you can do. All right. So I'm going to set the timer now for a minute. And your job is to come up with 3 situations. And if you want to just think of them, that's fine. If it's faster for you to just think of it and just jot down the person's name, don't feel like you have to describe the whole thing. Just put their name down, or like coach or teacher, right? And your marks, and we'll share this. Get set, go. Pressure. If you have 3, come up with 5. If you have 5, come up with 6. If you can only do 1, just do 1. So I'm just adapting this to where you're at. So okay, thumbs up if you came up with at least one idea. One idea? Okay. Would it help you guys if I gave an extra minute and I shut off my video and I didn't have this timer in front of you like that? It's kind of like in your face. Yeah? No?
It will help, definitely.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
let's do that. I'll give you another minute. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go around sharing. So who'd like to go first? Why don't we go from Adi and then Izzy and then Archie?
Yeah, I can go. So the first one I thought of was my cousin who I met last year in India. So I went to India and like he usually I go to like North India and they live in South India. So this time we would visit South India just as a vacation. So I knew like my cousin had like was born with autism spectrum disorder. So I thought it would be a little awkward when I would meet them, but it was actually like we spent like a whole half a month with them and it was really fun. And yeah.
Awesome. Quite a character, colorful personality, perhaps.
Yeah, he was fun to be around as well.
Oh, that's
There were like
amazing.
times when
Great.
he would like kind of zone out and stuff, but usually he like was really fun to be around. He's also
Wow.
like 18 now, so he was a bit older than us as well.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Is he?
Some someone that I misjudged was my head coach on my current football team. I remember freshman year when I first met my head coach, I was so like timid and very scared of him because like his appearance, like his just demeanor and stuff like that. Like he looks like the type of guy that like you make one mistake and he's like just on your head about it. And he's gonna be constantly yelling at you and stuff. But the more you're around him and stuff like that, he's very more calm and just very laid back. And it was very
Yeah.
shocking to me.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Probably a strong character with strong features and a strong voice, perhaps,
Yeah,
but a soft heart, right? Like a calm demeanor, calm heart.
yeah.
Great. Um, okay. Now, before we get to Archie, so a writer's thought here, because remember, we're learning about informing and explaining here. So, Adi, I think when if you were to write this and then Art Israel as well, you would really take uh you would really describe that person in painstaking detail, right? Because you want us to get that. You want us to understand what was your thought when you first thought of them, right? What was your impression of people on the autism spectrum? And then you'd really want to show that difference there. And I think you would almost be forced to, right? I mean, this kind of topic almost forces you to inform and explain things in minute detail because you want people to get it. That's because appearance is one thing, right? And reality is something else. So we really have to show that difference. Archie?
So I what when I thought of this, I thought of my chemistry teachers who so if you walk into his classroom, you'll be like, okay, this is quite a normal classroom, right? But when he teaches, he kind of has somewhat of an extrovertial personality. So,
Extroverted?
yeah, basically. But here's the thing, he claims that he's very introverted. So, I wouldn't have known that
Um,
if, of course, if I hadn't been in this class and he hadn't talked about it. So, that made me surprised.
so is he like a certain way in the hallways, like when you see him just on campus?
So, yes, like he keeps to himself. He doesn't really speak with others unless they interact with him.
Yeah. Seems like
So,
he comes to life. That's what happened to me when I was teaching. Yeah, I've become this kind of clown. I can just make kids laugh and I just come alive. I'm louder, I'm more animated. Um, nice, nice. It tells me that he really loves his subject matter, I think. So yeah, in your essay, if you choose this, then you definitely want to maybe describe exactly what he looked like before you knew what he was like as a teacher. And really, for all of us, like Adi is yours too. I mean, Izzy, yours. Like, think about like in that movie, like really build it up, build it up, build it up. That expectation, almost exaggerate what you thought about that person a bit, and then um, you show that difference. Then this was different. That was different. Um, they did this with their eyes, with their mouth, with their nose, whatever it is, with their hands. Okay, very good, very good. So all the things we've been doing are kind of preparing you for the choices that we're going to have. We'll definitely look at the assignment. Have you guys all looked at the assignment? Not sure. Okay. The writing assignment and the choices there. choice board. So there's 7 of them. Yeah. Izzy, have you had a chance?
No, I haven't had a chance actually.
Okay. Um, we'll take a peek at that. We're not gonna be able to spend a lot of time on that. Because I want to spend the time really, at least for now, writing, and then maybe starting Monday, we'll really start to draft on Monday, I think. We'll start to plan and draft. So, and by the way, on Monday, I kind of want to narrow down the focus, perhaps, or at least if you choose different writing topics, because there's 7 different ones. You've seen 3 of them already, um, or 2 of them. Give you some direction on how to organize. We're going to do this with thinking maps, okay? And this is going to be anyway. So I don't want to go off on a tangent there. Jumping ahead of myself. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. Now, sometimes you can judge a book by its cover. Absolutely. So think about times quick judgments were accurate. Um, write about a time a quick judgment was accurate. Use the frame. Explain how you're. Forget this frame right here. Um, yeah, this is just confusing right now because this is the next part. All I want to do for right this moment is share with you and then have you share. So I'm going to think of, let me stop sharing because, okay, a time when you can judge a book by its cover. And I would say, okay, there is a security guard at the school where I work. His name is Mr. Curry. When I first met Mr. Curry, um, they told me that he was a he's going to be he's going to be the security guard, but that's not actually his regular job. And what I found was just his demeanor. He's very strong. He's very tall, and he's 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 got that calm demeanor, and it works well in the classroom because he's a what's called a teacher's aide or paraprofessional. And so I judged a book by its cover that he's a strong person, because the way he carried his body, his posture is very straight. His look is very calm. It's like, that lions don't need to roar, right? Somebody that's really strong is very calm. They're not like, hey, you want to fight me? You want to do this? You want to do that? Right? Those are pretty much the guys that you don't fear because they have something to prove, right? And I found that indeed that is what his character is like. He is very secure in himself. He's not out to impress. And I also guess that he probably gets along with the students and the staff. And lo and behold, people do get along with him and the students do like him. They say that he's the best. They like him. So yeah. Um, you guys think of an instance of that. So let's take a minute or so and maybe just come up with one, maybe 2, but at least one example where you met somebody and they looked a certain way or they acted a certain way, they talked a certain way, and it turned out to be true. Okay, so let's you guys need yeah, let's take a minute. I would encourage you to write it down because you're going to be looking at this later when you're figuring out what you're going to write about. It could be a relative, it could be a grandmother that you met maybe a distant relative that was very outspoken, and you said to yourself, I think this person really is going to set me straight and kind of put me in my place from time to time. And perhaps you found out that was the case, right? Have we all met distant relatives? Maybe you traveled to India and um, maybe somebody was very hospitable, very obliging, and you found that not only were they that way in that moment, it wasn't just an act, it was how they acted, how they behaved. It informed what kind of choices they made, right? In other words, what does a person's voice say about who they are? What does a person's hairstyle say about who they are? What does a person's body posture say about who they are inside, right? That's really what we're talking about here. So, Adi, do you have anything? Do you need more time? This is kind of a hard one in
I
a way,
have
I think.
I have a bunch of cousins, so another one of my cousins, I guess. She's like she's only 6 years old. So last year when we went to India, like the same trip, we went to North and South. South was when I met my other cousins. But like this was my first time meeting her since like she was like just born. Because of COVID, I didn't go over like when she was like 4 or 3 or whatever. So we had like like I knew her parents because they're my mom's brother and his wife. So like they're pretty close. So I kind of talked to her on the phone every now and then. And so I kind of knew how she would act, but like yeah, I could like the way she acted was how I expected her, I guess I would say.
What was it about that was it her voice that I'm trying to pinpoint what trait that you saw and you said to your mind, okay, this is the cover of the book. And when you got to meet her, you opened up that book and you found out that, right, what was
Yeah.
inside
So,
was the same thing that, what was it?
so I guess it was from her voice, I guess, but I always thought she was like really active and like she gets really tired eventually. And that came to be true because originally she's
Oh,
really shy on the phone with a new person, or even when we first met her for the first day or two, she was really shy. And then eventually, because we were like staying in the same house, um, eventually
yeah.
like we got closer and then yeah, she wasn't shy anymore. So that's kind of what I thought would happen
Okay.
because she's
Yeah.
always like
Sure. What's that?
she always like is really excited and stuff. So I kind of thought that would happen.
So what you want to do if you're writing this part of it, you would say, try to emphasize specific things. Her voice or her laughter showed me this. And then when I met her, lo and behold, she had all this energy and she was running around. And this is her personality. Izzy, want to come back to you?
Oh, no, I can go right now.
Okay.
Um, I wouldn't say because my family, I have a small family in the Saratoga, Florida. It's like outside of Tallahassee. I wouldn't say um it's an individual, but I'll say more of like my family. They all pretty much resemble the same thing. I mean, they're family, so they're all kind of the same. And I knew like they were like very funny before I really got to know them and really met them and stuff because of the things my mom used to tell me, stuff like that, and how she used to go up there during her summers when she was a teenager. I used to just hang out with my family up there and stuff. And I had an idea that they were funny, but when I got up there, it was just like a whole different vibe of like how funny they were and stuff like that, and how very enthusiastic they were and stuff. And we had a very fun time. It's just something that I expected, but it was just on a like different level of how like they were and stuff.
Well, to actually be there and be in that whole environment and everybody's laughing, everybody's being funny.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, that sounds like a fun family. I'd like to meet your family. Um, Adi, your family too. And then Archie, I don't know enough about your family, so I can't say that yet. But I've met your dad, and you guys are terrific people. So I definitely would like to meet the rest of your relatives. And
Well,
Archie,
thank you. So I would like to talk. I was thinking about my younger cousin when I uh, read this prompt, and
Mhm.
so he's going to, so like of course they're in India. So me, my mom, and my dad, we're all, it's only three of us in the U.S., but the rest of my relatives are in India. So
Whoa.
so every so like if I would call them right now it is 8:30, so it would be like around morning over there.
Yeah.
So if I call them now, they'll be, I'm like this with my cousins. So um it's really nice because he likes to play soccer, so football over there obviously, but he devotes time to his studies, which shows me that he's a very, he will do something when he puts his mind to it. So
Yeah. Very determined and disciplined.
yes.
Yeah, very focused. And what was it about him that when you first, I guess, met him? And I know that's hard because we sometimes we can't remember when we first met because we've known them all our lives, right? But can you remember like in early time what was it that he did or said or maybe something that he owned that told you about him? That's the other thing I didn't get into because I'm looking at the list on this over here and it seems like I could have asked you to say, well, you could have focused on their clothing, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves, their favorite food. And so we created an idea in our mind based upon that limited piece of information, right? So, what was the limited piece of information that helped you create this idea about your cousin that you found to be very true?
So his mom and dad would be um like he may not be studying at some points because he was outside like playing, but of course once we talk to him, he's like, I do my studies. So I see that he could improve on that aspect, but I know that he is working hard to achieve his goal, and I've seen that as he's grown up. So
Here's a little key right here. This is an important point. When you're writing and you have a writing prompt and you want to do well, you will do well with that. However, what I noticed was you still didn't really give a specific. Maybe you did, and I didn't catch it. But here's the thing: when you're writing, I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to be quiet to emphasize. You kind of want to fictionalize a little bit. And you have to if you're going back to an early memory, and because it's very difficult for us to go back to our childhood and to really put everything together the way we actually saw it at that time. So we have to do a little bit of imagination and we have to sometimes make things up, just try things. So for you, what I would do is I might say, and I'm just making this up. So when I met my cousin, let's say Devendra, right? When I first met him, I remember he always had 3 or 4 books stacked on the table. And even though he played a lot outside in those early times, I felt like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be a professor or some doctor someday. And so lo and behold, when I got to know him when we were a little bit older, I noticed that he was that same person who would go outside all the time, and his parents would have to scold him a little bit. But the moment he hit those books, he was so serious, like, how do you get things done so well? And I could see the determination on his face over those books. Do you see what I did there? Okay. So we are out of time, but I think what I'm going to do, I would say the homework definitely is to read over the there's your dog. Is that the kind of dog you like? Okay, I don't know if he hears me. Uh, but I would definitely for homework, let's take a peek at this for a couple quick minutes. Are you guys okay for a couple minutes? Like two?
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay. Let me time myself here. Boom, right there. I got the timer on. Okay. Oh, session workspace for Monday. Okay. Okay, here's our writing assignment here. Oh, that's your copy. Okay, great. Instructions. Now, Archie, I think you've looked at this already. And then Adi, have you had a chance?
Yeah, I didn't look at it thoroughly. I kind of skimmed it, I guess.
Okay. So I think by what I want you to do is make a choice, make a preliminary choice, make a first choice and a second choice. Okay. I want to write about this one. This is the one that I feel good about. And here's my second choice. The first one is my favorite word. So you can research some favorite words. Here's some websites for you. And you can, this will explain that. Number two, don't judge a book by its cover. Number three, sometimes you can judge a book by its cover. And here's the thing. You can talk about yourself, explain how your whatever reveals who you are. So, for example, how your cell phone reveals who you are, how your favorite food or hobby reveals who you are, how your choice of friends reveals who you are. The list is endless for that, but you can focus on yourself if you want. Now, if you want to focus on somebody else, that's okay too. You can adapt this. I'm okay with that. How to survive. For this assignment, you'll be writing a guide on how to survive a specific situation of your choosing. The goal is, I'm out of time. All right. So what you're going to notice with this one right here, number 4, is that you can actually use dear newly minted, like that piece right there. So you could say how to survive being a new writer. And you can take your negative list, turn it into a positive set of things, and then use it for this, right? So there's the tip right there. You can also do A leads to B, which is explain how one thing leads to something else. Could be World War II, could be maybe the escalation in Israel with the Gaza Strip and all of that. Number 6, what is the perfect? So be detailed about what's a perfect principal, the perfect teacher, the perfect parent, the perfect boyfriend, girlfriend, dog, meal, football player, soccer player, whatever it is. And then finally, number 7, college collage, especially for Izzy. If you want to do this, you don't have to. I mean, if you don't feel like doing it, it's going to be, you're going to do a little bit of a college exploration and you're going to do some research and you're going to find out whether or not these criteria. So gather information about campus life, the setting, SATs, ACTs, requirements for admissions. Look at your dream colleges. Then after looking at this information, describe, is this really a college that I see myself going to? After actually doing the research, right? Because that's part 2. Students reflect on whether this institution remains a viable future option for them. You might find out, you know what? This is not the right college. I need to be thinking about another one. That's it. And then here's the all right, we're done. And so the homework again is to come up with first choice and second choice. And then because we're going to start planning and drafting on Monday. And then during office hours, if you want to work on this, I'm going to run out of battery here. So if I disappear, I will send you guys in the Google Classroom, I'll put the slides that you saw today so that you can go back to them if you need to. Okay. But anyway, that's our time. Any questions?
No, sir. Not from me.
Okay. Office hours, I'll send you a separate link, Archie, for that because it's a different one. All right. Take care, guys. Oh, and I'm curious to see what you found useful, but if you could just do that later, like do that tomorrow, what did you find useful about today? It's already late and I've already taken too much of your time already. So if you could share on Monday, what did you find useful or what could have been better for you? You could even do that. Like it would have been better if you would have helped me with this or explained that better. All right. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure, guys. Reach out if you have any questions.